With Tiny Tim.
Yes!
Yay! Do you hear us?
Hello, Miss Dorian?
Yes.
Yes, how you been?
Great, how are you?
I can't complain. We're working here at the Flamingo Hilton with jukebox giant greats like Joe Mullen from Badfinger. Remember he had Come and Get It?
Mm-hmm.
And also Brewer and Shipley. They had one.
Oh, the one toke over the line guys.
And also a great magician comic, The Great Mundane, he's called.
The Great Mundane, does he do really every day?
The greatest. He's a Beyond Leno.
So you know what we have, that the Beyond Vaudeville guys here, Frank Hope.
Hi, Tiny.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
How are you, Tiny?
Are they on your show tonight, too?
Yeah, so it's sort of like we're having the Beyond Vaudeville on radio.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Can you hear me, Tiny?
He's a fine man, Mr. Hope.
He's got a great radio face, too, doesn't he, Tiny?
Can you hear them?
Is this thing
what
on?
did he say?
He said you have a great radio face.
Well, I said Frank did.
No, but it's nice doing his show several times. I've done it in the past.
Tiny?
Mr. Hope?
Yes, how are you?
Okay, how have you been?
Okay, we tried to hook up Mr. Fertel, but we lost his phone number.
Well, I don't have it.
Oh, well.
Could you give it to us on the air, maybe?
That everybody
I don't have it.
Oh, darn the luck.
Oh, well.
Is Mr. Green with him?
Mr. Green is home sulking, I think.
Oh. Who's on the show besides?
Well, it's myself
Mr.
and our friends, producers, Mr. Steve and Mr. John.
Mr. John?
Yeah, and this is Mr. Steve. Hi,
Oh,
Tiny.
hi, how you been?
Pretty good.
Great to hear your voice again.
Same here, I'll tell you what. Backstage of the Flamingo Hilton showroom, so we got...
Doesn't get much better than that, huh?
Oh, unbelievable.
Are
They take care of you all right back there?
Too good.
Really?
having fun in Vegas? Are you there for a while?
No, well, it's not Vegas. It's Laughlin, Nevada.
Oh,
about
okay.
50 miles. It's little Las Vegas, about 15 miles away from Las Vegas. But it's a lovely area here. They got this place is booming. It's right next to Bullhead City.
Oh, yeah. You're right near Red Rock, aren't you?
I guess so.
Yeah, and trust me on that.
Tiny, we were just playing your CD, your new CD.
Which one? You mean Girl?
Yeah,
Girl, right.
We're
With
very
Brave
excited.
Combo?
A B in Entertainment Weekly last week. That's great.
That's not bad.
It was to your advantage that we couldn't get through to you earlier because we had to keep playing your music up straight through. Well, we waited for your show to end.
We were enjoying Stairway to Heaven just before.
Really?
Yeah.
Thank you for playing it. And also, well, you know, the news didn't give it a good write-up, but we've had good and bad, so that's par for the core.
Well, what do they know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, now the news people generally are a fine bunch of entertainment writers.
But they don't know me.
But even they can have an off day.
yeah.
Oh, no.
Do you have 2 CDs out now? 2 new?
I have 3 out.
3.
But the Girl one, you know, has a major label like Rounder, you know, and the other 2, one is called I Love Me, and the other one is called Prisoner of Love. Frankly, that's my greatest album personally,
No?
but that is not, you know, it's just creeping along slowly.
Is that standards also? I mean...
Oh, great songs of that early great crooner, Russ Columbo.
Oh, Russ Columbo, he's great.
Oh, have you heard of him?
Sure.
Well, he died in 1934 at the age of 26 on September 2nd. The Daily News.
What time?
I don't know. It must have been in the afternoon, California time. But you know, he was neck and neck with Bing Crosby, and I just recorded some of his great songs on the Prisoner of Love album.
Tiny, what label is that on? Tiny?
Prisoner of Love?
Yes.
Vinyl Retentive.
Vinyl Retentive?
Yeah,
It's a great name.
it's a minor label, but boy, it's the best record I've ever done.
Now, Tiny, there was some controversy over the death of Mr. Russ Columbo, wasn't there?
Boy, Mr. Steve, is it?
No,
That's
this is
Mr.
Frank.
Oh, Mr. Frank. Mr. Frank. Sorry. Controversy? Yes, there was. That's a good statement you made. The thing is that he was in love with Carol Lombard, and she was doing a movie with Bing Crosby. I think it's called We're Not Dressing, one of those movies. He visited the set many times. There was rumors that there was a feud between him and Mr. Crosby, but Crosby always denied it. He said the press wanted to make one that it appeared like that. But in September 2nd, he was at a friend's house, and the friend was making some dinner. Friend was a photographer, and there was an antique pistol on the wall, which, you know, to pass some time away, Mr. Columbo fooled around with. And after cocking the trigger about 9 times, nothing happened. On the 10th time, a ball came out, like one of those old balls from the Pirates days, and hit the wall, bounced back, and hit him on the head.
Oh, like a Claudine Longet incident.
He was dead immediately. Ironically, the Daily News on September 3rd of 1934 had Russ Columbo dies, and Bing Crosby was one of the pallbearers. But his mother never knew about it. Too bad, because he was ahead of his time. He had a sound of the early 40s Sinatra type before its day.
Excuse me, Tony, you say his mother didn't know about it?
Right.
What didn't she know about?
Well, she didn't know that he died. They were writing letters, the brothers were, to the mother like he was alive, and I think his mother died about 1944.
Oh, like they did with Rose Kennedy? They just wanted to spare her heartache?
Oh, did they do that? I never knew they did that.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they never told her that somebody died.
And I don't think they mentioned that Arnold Schwarzenegger married into the family.
Right, and they didn't mention that Senator Kennedy's head got really huge.
No, now he's just kidding around.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Kennedy bashing.
Oh, but it's just too bad. Well, but those things will happen. These are the torments of life.
Right.
Well, it's better, you think, to spare heartache for an old person? Or do you think they should just take the truth, take it on the chin?
Well, I think they ought to, time. Well, it is true a person can die if the news is that heavy. So it's really a tough question. I personally would want to know. I never would not want to know. But I can't. I can only speak for myself. I don't know how the other persons would take that. But I would probably tell them. It all depends. I think they should know.
Tiny, is there any chance you'll move back to New York one of these days?
Well, nothing's impossible right now. It doesn't look like that, Mr. Holt.
Are you living in Iowa still?
Is this Mr. Steve?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, I have a hotel room in Iowa, still, but right now, I'm living in Minneapolis in my darling's house.
Oh, right. With the lovely Miss Sue, and Tiny Tim was very nice and gracious to invite me to their wedding, which was a very nice ceremony, Tiny.
Oh, you went?
Yes, out in Minneapolis, yeah.
It was a wild ceremony. 500 people or more were there.
Right, it was a
Yeah, and he took video. We saw it. It was a beautiful ceremony, Tiny. We're very happy for you.
Oh, thanks. See, I just hope it lasts another month.
Another month?
No.
Boy, you're a one operator, pal.
No,
2 nights in Vegas and it's all over.
I never take nothing for granted, and
Have you become cynical?
no, but I just got to be on my toes, and you got to fight harder every day. Can't take nothing and no one for granted.
How many times have you been on the Beyond Vaudeville show?
I've had the pleasure at least 7 or 8 times,
Wow.
and Mr. Hope has been wonderful all the time. It's always a great thrill being on his show. Mr. Green, he's very nice too, and we've had a lot. I've had a lot of great thrills, especially with Arthur Tracy.
Right.
Tiny is one of those guests where you just drop everything. If he's in town and
He's headlining.
It's always a pleasure to have him.
God bless him if he's willing to show up. Tiny, we'd love to have you back anytime you want to come to the
I
city.
love it. I mean, it's a great show, and I got a call from my second wife today.
Oh, that's
yeah.
Miss Jan, right?
Yeah, she's somewhere in New York. I don't know where. But
It's an easy place to get lost.
Wow. No, it was a little screwy last time we had you on when she had your ukulele, right?
Right, and apparently the agent couldn't find your place.
Oh boy.
He said he went. I don't know where he went. I think he went to the west side.
But Tiny's a trooper, and we gave him a ukulele which wasn't like a real good one, like the kind he usually has, and he just went on and did a great job.
Oh, well, thanks. But are you still located at the same place?
Yes, down on 23rd Street. Yeah.
East 23rd.
That's
right. Yeah.
Oh, see, that's really a great place. Remember the Alcott Hotel where I used to stay?
Up on 72nd.
Over on Broadway?
Right. Well, WPLJ called looking for me. They thought I was there when they played the new record, and somebody at the desk said, "Yeah, this is Tiny Tim," and they had a talk until they found out it wasn't.
Oh, he pranked them. It's like,
boy.
Oh, unbelievable! But then we all made it up, though.
Well, now, Tiny, so you have to do another show tonight, right?
Yeah, it'll start in about 15 minutes.
What songs are you doing?
Well, here I do different sets, but tonight I'll be loving Are You Lonesome Tonight?
Yeah.
Oh, like the King immortalized.
And Gene Austin back in 1926. And also songs like On the Road to Mandalay. baby face. I hear an umpire died today.
Yes.
Yes, all 320 pounds
First
of them.
inning.
After 9 pitches.
Yeah.
What?
After 9 pitches, he had a heart attack and died.
What was his name?
That was John McSherry.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
Yeah.
think he was with the Dodgers once.
I believe he was. Boy, no flies on you, Tiny.
This is the guy section of the show, by the way.
Oh, my goodness.
We're going to talk about cars next.
Tiny, are you able to sing? Could you do an Irving Caesar song for us?
Yes, I could. Before I do that, I would like to do on the air a tribute to Mr. McSherry.
Oh, right.
yes.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Why, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out at the old ball game.
Yay,
Oh,
wow.
never a more bittersweet moment in radio.
Mr. McSherry would have liked that very much.
Listen, can I introduce you over the air to the great Mundane here?
Sure.
Great Mundane.
He's one of the greatest magicians comics I've ever seen. This is Mr. Hope and Miss
Dorian.
Miss Dorian from New York.
You don't usually see a lot of magic on the radio.
Hello, Mr. Mundane.
Well,
This is
hi,
a little
I
like
am,
Edgar Bergen.
I am a New Yorker. Nice
Oh,
to talk
great.
to home.
You're live on the air, by the way, just so
Well,
you know. So you
thank
don't
you.
get into that dirty talk.
Don't work blue, Mr. Mundane.
No,
It's such a waste.
I work strictly family. Anyway.
What is that?
Do you want to do a trick for us?
Yeah, do a trick on your...
Well, Mundane the Great. It's an act that where I really come out and kind of mess up all the tricks and they fall apart and nothing works and I really
I do
don't
that
get
act
too much
too.
accomplished.
That's like Stan Can, the old great Stan Can.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Anyway,
different, I'm sure.
we just, of course, coupled with Tiny Tim, they need an act like Mundane the Great and all these wonderful people we have in this show. We're having a ball down here. Have you ever been to Laughlin, Nevada?
Not me.
No, I don't.
Well,
I have.
If you have. All right.
Wow, you've
It's
been
near
around.
Red Rock.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to get
It's
out
out
to
near Red
Vegas
Rock.
again soon. Yeah, near Red Rock, right?
Sure.
I want to go check out that new New York casino.
Have you been out there, Mr. Mundane?
Well, it isn't open yet.
Right,
But
but
no?
I live in Las
97.
Vegas.
Oh, you live in Vegas.
So when we come, we visit you, right?
Sure. Just
Are you
look
a
for
gamer?
Mundane the Great. I'm always in a lower budget show in Las Vegas.
Oh,
No,
my. Bada boom.
I play put a boom. I play around the hotels. I've lived there for 15 years. So
Oh, we could go out
I'm
for some
pretty
prime
well known,
rib.
I guess. Yeah. Well,
Well,
thanks,
Tiny promised.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah, nice
And
talking to you.
Same here.
I'll give you back to Tiny.
Have a good
Okay,
second show.
Thank you. You
Yes.
too.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
there.
Wow, he
Hey.
was great.
He's really great.
Yeah.
Boy, it's like a cavalcade of stars here.
It is. We've got a whole act
Tiny,
here.
we're dying to hear an Irving Caesar song.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Was in a Paris cafe when first I found him. He was a Frenchman, a hero of the war. War was over, his how peace had crowned him. For he had medals to wear, nothing more. Every night in the same place strolls by. As he strolls by, ladies hear him say, if you admire me, hire me. A gigolo, you a better day. Oh, just a gigolo. Everywhere I go, people know the part I'm playing. Paid for every dance, selling each romance, every night some heart betraying. There will come a day, youth will pass away, then what will they say about me? When the end comes I know, they'll say just a gigolo, as life goes on without me.
'Cause I got
Wow, that was great, Tiny.
Better than Louis Prima.
Just a gigolo, everywhere I go, people know the part I'm playing. I'm paid for every dance, selling each romance, every night some heart betraying. There will come a day, youth will pass away, then what will they say about me? When the end comes I know, they'll say just a gigolo, as life goes on without me.
Once more for
Very nice.
nuance.
Very nice.
Thank you. Well, that was a young Bing Crosby. He first made it popular in 1930 with the Gus Arnheim Orchestra, but Mr. Caesar did write that great song.
Wow, very nice.
Boy, you stumped us there, Tony. I didn't know that was in the Caesar canon.
It's nicer to remember Mr. Crosby that way than the way his sons, Gary, remembered him in his book.
Well, that's unfortunate. But, let me tell you, this is we have to tell you, a rough business. There are two fronts, the home front and the stage front. And, when one gets off that stage and goes home, it's a completely different battle.
All bets are off.
It was, it's the same today, like that Michael Jackson had this problem.
Most of them, they all do. Because they're, these singers are troubadours, whether it's Mr. Crosby, Columbo, Tony Martin, Dean Martin, they're really troubadours. It's hard for them to stay with one wife because they are singers, who serenade many women. And it's hard to come back to the home life of normality. And Mr. Crosby was tough with his kids. He probably wanted them, to grow up right and didn't know how to handle it because he was on the road all the time. So it was a tough thing, playing both factions. That happens so much in this business.
Do you think that was Michael Jackson's problem with Lisa Marie? That being on the road and all of that?
No, I think Mr. Jackson's problem that he, frankly, had a yearning to young boys.
Hey,
you heard it here
that
first,
would put a strain on a marriage,
Well, I think he did have he had a sensuality to young kids. And I think that with the heat on him, how he got Miss Lisa Marie Presley to marry him is beyond my understanding. But apparently she did. I think, frankly, she might have wanted a name for herself, something to be in the spotlight.
Some money, maybe?
No, it's not the money. She has plenty of that. I think she needed the glamour of that spotlight news, and he needed the getting away
credibility
from the heat that he was on with his kid. So it served a purpose there. He threw them a curve. He was married, the most famous singer, Elvis Presley's daughter. She needed to break away and have headlines for herself, and so for a while it stopped, the concentration.
Sort of a Charles and Diana situation.
A real marriage of convenience there.
Well, for the career and for personalities, but that didn't work out, and who knows what she knows that we don't know.
What do you think Elvis would have thought of that marriage?
He would have turned over in his grave 10,000 times.
Did you ever meet Elvis? Or?
No, I never did, but he did invite me backstage. Colonel Tom Parker did back in 1970 in Miami in the afternoon, and Mr. Presley mentioned that I was there in the audience. It was nice of him to do that. He had a Cadillac behind him, and he made a quick getaway. But it was a great moment.
But, Tiny, you did meet Frank Sinatra, of course.
That was another great moment.
Right.
I was working for his record company, Reprise, in 68, 69. He invited me back to see one of his recording sessions. I didn't want to go, but, he has to go because I don't like to interrupt anybody when they're recording, but he wanted it. And then after the session, I think we were recording by the time I get to Phoenix or Gentle on My Mind, but it was for an album at the time on Reprise called Cycles, at that time with the LP. Anyway, so then we had a chat because the photographer asked us to talk while he was taking our picture. And I told him, precisely in June of 1945, when he was the hottest thing in the world, he made an appearance on WMCA radio. At the time, these dates are accurate. In June of 1945, he was the hottest thing in the world. And WMC Radio had a little studio where the Ed Sullivan Theater is now, 52nd between Broadway and 8th Avenue.
Right.
Right at the end of Broadway. Anyway, so what happened is that you couldn't get near that block. At 8 o'clock at night in June of 1945, he was trying to get out backstage, front stage. They finally pushed him out of the backstage. The whole block screamed and screeched. He took both of his hands. He put it to his ears. He couldn't believe it. They pushed him into a taxi cab. And, it just, in a Friday night, a show night, whatever, it was pandemonium. When I told him that story, he smiled from ear to ear, and he said, Tiny, those were the days.
Aww.
Did you ever meet Frank Sinatra Jr.?
Never did. I wish I did. But Frank Sinatra, it's too bad. It was just a snip of how he sounded then.
Yeah. So who's it?
Put your dreams away for another day, and I will take their place in your heart. His voice is so smooth
Yeah.
and light.
Who's the nicest person in showbiz you've met?
Well, I can't say there was.
There have been a lot, right?
All right, who's the meanest?
All right, yeah, that's what we want
Well,
to know.
let me tell you, it's not that. My greatest thrill thing out of Christ was when I appeared on the Bing Crosby show. But I think I can say the nicest one that just recalled to me that I met personally, which I was thrilled, off the stage, not doing it. Well, Rudy Valley was very nice to me. Irving Kaufman, who was very nice, a great pioneer of 1911, who Edison discovered, made so many thousands of records. He was wonderful to me. Rudy
I heard-
Valley. But you know who I remember? Edward G. Robinson.
Oh,
He was wonderful. We had a great time talking together, and he asked me in '68, Tiny, are you saving your money? Well, little did he know it was all in the hands of the managers.
well, yeah, I've heard he's a good one. He was a nice guy.
Oh.
So when you come to New York, you're going to have to come out here to the radio station and play some of that music live.
Oh, Miss Doreen,
instead
I'd
of on the
love
phone.
to.
We'd
I'd
love to have you out here. So I'll
Love
get
to.
your address from the guys here,
Yeah.
the Beyond Vaudeville. Thanks so much for giving up your time between shows there.
Well, thanks for your call, and
Sure.
Mr. Holt, Mr. Steve, it's a pleasure talking to you, too.
Hey, what am I?
That's Mr. John.
Mr. John.
Oh, Mr. John, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Mr. John, it's a pleasure talking to you, too.
It was so good to hear your voice, Tiny.
Break a leg, Tiny.
Thanks, and my best to everyone.
Okay, and to you too.
Tiny Tim!
Yay.
Should we mention the opinions expressed by Tiny Tim as regards Michael Jackson are his own and not those of
Well,
WFMU?
He was basically saying that, he couldn't recapture his youth, so he just recaptured any youth he could.